stereo system. The definition of rock and roll. From Adrenalize, that's Def Leppard and Tear It Down. Once again played for you on the Iowa Minimax 3500 3-CD changer stereo system. You were listening to Rockline live and nationwide on the Global Satellite Network. I'm Bo Riles, and Def Leppard returns with you next. Welcome back to a very special Rock Line with Def Leppard. I'm Bo Riles. Let's continue taking phone calls here. Let's go to Tulsa and talk to Robin, a Rock Line listener of 97.5 KMOD there in Tulsa. Robin, you're on.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, Robin. How are you?
I was asking a question about the new album you're coming out with this October. Will the songs on this album be the same in each country, or the versions of the album be different? And will you follow it up with another video?
No, it's going to be the same in every country as far as I'm aware. And don't know about videos yet. Bit too far down the road to think about it.
All right, look for that once again.
Yeah, I think probably the point you're getting at is when Adrenalize was released, there was a 12-track album released in Japan. And that was basically, the Japanese record company just begged us to give them an extra couple of tracks because with the exchange rate, it's actually cheaper for people in Japan to come to Tower Records and buy them over the counter and sell them again down there than it is to sell them at the regular. I think the equivalent price for a CD in Japan is like $45. And to make it worthwhile buying a Japanese CD, they've got to put something on it that's not on the American release. So we try to help them out as best we can, but I don't think we're going to be doing it on this album.
All right, very good. Thank you, Robin. And let's go to Toronto now and talk to Mark, a listener of Q107 there in Toronto. Mark, you're on Rockline. Speak to us.
How you doing, man?
Good.
Hey, good.
Cool. I want to ask you a question. I know it's really tough to find a good producer, and it's really important. I'm in a band here called Remedy, and we're at the same situation. Now, you've worked with John Lang for 10 years, and you switched to Mike Shipley as your primary producer on Adrenalize. I was wondering why the reason for the switch.
No, we didn't switch. We would have stayed with Mutt, but he was busy doing the Bryan Adams album. And that's why we couldn't use Mutt for that album. And Mike Shipley was like co-producer. You know, we done the album ourselves as well. So it was a combined effort. But, yeah, we always liked working with Mutt Lang. He was just so busy, you know, doing the Bryan Adams thing.
He's still a phone call away, hopefully an AT&T phone call. And I look at the bottom of Adrenalize, and I see executive producer Robert John Mutt Lang. So he certainly was involved.
Yeah, he always lent himself to the odd phone calls. Like, here, Mutt, what do you think of this? We'd play down the phone, and he would either say he liked it, or he'd say he didn't, and then we'd either react on that, whether we said, well, we like it, so sod you, or maybe he's got a point, and we'd change it. But, Mike Shipley wasn't actually the producer anyway. Mike Shipley is the engineer on our last 4 albums. And we figured if we couldn't have Mutt, the next best thing was to work with Mike Shipley as the engineer and try and take what we'd learnt from working with Mutt over the previous 3 albums and try and utilize the band and Mike Shipley as an equivalent of Mutt. And I think when you listen to Adrenalize sonically, it's obvious that when you listen to it, that we have learned a lot from working with Mutt because, our input was equal to Mike's on it, and I think we made a sonically good record. So, I think something that we're all very proud of, that there was a lot more input from us from a production point of view than there's ever been on any of our previous records.
You bet. Welcome to the world of producing. You guys did a great job. Thank you, Mark, for the call. Let's move to Mount Ephraim. That's in New Jersey. Let's talk to Leslie. She's actually listening to us on 94 WYSP in Philadelphia. Leslie, you're on.
Hi, guys. Quick question, 2 questions. Was it a difficult process to choose the songs among the band members for this new collection? And my second question is, Joe, you said that you guys are preferring to play at one end. Does this mean you guys aren't going to be playing in the round again?
Well, to answer your first question, it wasn't overly difficult to pick from the songs because we did have a choice of 27 tracks that have never made a Def Leppard album that have actually been released or up on the archive shelf. And what we tended to do was we waded through them all. We decided not to use any live stuff. We kept the cover versions down to a bare minimum. We literally picked the best 2. And then we took all our own songs and listened to them and decided how we could improve them before we just put them all out on an album. We could have easily just picked these songs, put them out on an album untouched and cashed in, but we didn't want to do that. We wanted to see how well we could you know, make these songs better than they were, really. For example, a lot of the songs that we did on the Hysteria B-side session, it was only a couple of years maybe after he'd lost his arm, and when we were listening back to these songs only maybe 6 months ago, Rick said, you know, like, I can play the drums so much better now. And we said, well, why don't you go and do it again then? So he went in and replayed the drums on all the songs. That part was, you know, picking the songs wasn't really that difficult, because there's 13 tracks on the album, and I think we maybe had a choice of 14, you know, and the one that didn't make it, we weren't overly fussed about. So that's that bit.
All right, the playing in the round versus... you said on one end?
Yeah, I don't know whether we will play in the round again. I mean, we kind of... we weren't the first people to ever do it. I think we were maybe the first people to do it in a rock sense. I mean, you know, it's been well documented that Yes have done it, but they had this kind of revolving wedding cake sort of stage. Sinatra does it, and, you know, Shirley Bassey and people like that. But I think we were the first rock band that ever played in the round. But we've done it for 2 tours because we wanted to do something that kind of was just a little bit out of the ordinary. And I think we've reached that stage now in our career where we feel so much more confident within the 5 of us that we don't really need the gimmicks. We look through our catalogue of songs and realise that we've written a lot of great songs, and we've got a lot of good songs, and we believe in what we're doing, and we've never really played as well as we're playing right now. And when we hear back some of the live tapes that we've done, we think, well, you know, we don't need lasers and we don't need explosions. I mean, the 5 of us in these songs is really all that anybody's really interested in. So we stripped it down to basics just to see what kind of reaction we'd get. And in fairness, I think the reaction we're getting at one end is actually even better than when we were in the round, because the emphasis is on the band and not on what the band is performing on.
Some stage rolling around.
We just don't like the idea of being upstaged by a stage.
Well, we know it's all about songs, and a little while ago, Joe, we were sitting here off the air, and Joe goes, Bo, you hear this? And he starts rattling his cassette. He goes, listen, this is a brand new song from Retroactive. It's called Desert Song, and I'd like to give like a world premiere on Rockline of that song. And so, with your permission, guys, we'd like to play from Retroactive one called the Desert Song, and it's on Rockline. That is a cruncher. That is also the world premiere. Never heard before, but heard now. Thanks to Joe and the guys. Desert Song from Retroactive, soon to be released October 5th, as a matter of fact. You're listening to Rockline live and nationwide on the Global Satellite Network. We're not done, so come on back.
You spend $40 a month or more on AT&T long.
Big thank you to everyone for listening and for calling tonight. Join us next Monday night for your opportunity to interview a great new band that you've been hearing all over the radio, Cry of Love, plus the lovely and very talented Patti Scialfa. And in the upcoming weeks, your opportunity to talk with more of the biggest names in rock and roll, including, and you can't get a whole lot bigger than this, Mr. Robert Plant. Also coming up soon, we'll give you a chance to speak with Guns N' Roses bassist Duff McKagan. Special thanks tonight to all of our friends at Rolling Stone Magazine, especially Jan Winter, Kent Brownridge, David Frick, Paul LaRocca, and Kara Manning for their special help. To Cliff Bernstein, Peter Minch, Lisa, and the staff at Q Prime Management, to Sky Daniels at Mercury Polygram Records, to Ralph Petrosino, Michael Johnson, and the folks at SIR in New York for providing the guitars for this evening. Thank you very much. To the entire staff at our Howard Schwartz Studios, the beautiful facility we call our home away from home in New York City. And as I slow down here, finally, a big thank you to Joe, Rick, Phil, and Vivian of Def Leppard. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Pleasure. And I must say a special thank you and inspiration. Thanks to you guys. Not only am I naked now, but the entire staff is right now down here at Rockline. Guys, come on back. Good to hear it. Come on back anytime.
We're gonna write a song on our next album called Let's Get Naked.
I love it. We'll look for it. I'm Bill Riles. Thank you for paying attention. You've been listening to Rockline, brought to you by Budweiser. Fresh, pure, natural, proud to be your bud. By Iowa, makers of the new Iowa Minimax 3500. Iowa, I hear you. And by AT&T, we help put your world within reach. Rockline is engineered by Jimmy Rash, Chris Lindsley, and John Valenzuela, with technical direction by Mike Correa. Talent acquisition, Richard Kimball. Thanks to Jim Jacob, Greg Jernigan, and Kevin Stevens for their help tonight. Again, a very special thank you to Julie Leitner for her very special help. She's so lovely. And our associate producer, as always, Emily Carey. Rockline is produced by Jim Villanueva, executive producer Howard Gilman, and I'm Bo Riles. Rockline is an exclusive presentation of the Global Satellite Network.
It's another 93X triple track. Win 2 in a row just doesn't cut it on 93X.